Thank you for your prayers. I am not much of a TV watcher, but Pam is a TV watcher, and she loves watching The Big Bang Theory. And she tells me that I remind her of Sheldon on The Big Bang Theory. I guess some of you have seen it. Do I remind you of Sheldon on The Big Bang Theory? Anyway, I haven't watched it. I did see a couple of clips that Pam sent me and made me watch. And I must admit that sometimes I am sort of a control freak. And I like to make a list of everything that's going to happen. And I do have a particular pattern of eating. One day I have for breakfast my fresh fruit and yogurt with what do you call it, grape nuts on top. The next day I have cereal with a banana or something, and then I alternate that. So I know exactly what my breakfast is going to be every day because I'm patterned, so to speak. And Jesus tells us that we need to be patterned, so there. And he says, and uses the wonderful example of, remember now, Jesus never had a speechwriter. So what he was saying was his own words, because he wasn't influencing and attracting people when he says, if you don't hate your mother and father and take up your cross daily. And a speechwriter would have crossed that out right away and said, no, that's not going to win you any votes at all. But Jesus wanted to be upfront about what it was to follow him, that he has to be number one in our lives. And then he speaks about how important it is to calculate. If you're going to build something, you calculate what you're doing. For example, all the work that we've done here in the parish. We started off by finding out from the building commission from the Diocese of Worcester, who came in as part of our donations to Partners in Charity and gave us an assessment of the whole building. And some of the first things we needed to take care of was the fact that our boiler room was getting flooded every time we had rain coming in. We had to take care of that first and take care of the outside of the building and replace the furnaces because they were they weren't functioning well and efficiently. And our finance committee decided we'd save a lot of money by changing to propane gas rather than oil. And all those calculations were necessary to know everything we need to do here to take care of our parish patrimony. And then bringing that to you and letting you know this is what we need to do here. This is what the diocese has spoken of. We need to get rid of the asbestos tile. We need to bring our building up to code. And letting you know how much that would cost. And you pulled forward to supply the funding that we needed to do the work that we have completed and the work that we're still in progress to continue to do. We needed to calculate that. We needed to know that amount before we could begin even doing the beginning of any of this work. The same is true in our relationship with God. That we need to recognize what God asks of us. And Jesus never beats around the bush. He's like Rich Brady, who came in from the diocese, who evaluated our building and does that for every building in the diocese. And Jesus tells us right up front, this is what you need to do. You need to put me first in your life. And by putting me first in your life, know that I am walking with you. That when you need to take up your cross daily, you're not doing it on your own. That I am with you. If any of you do the stations of the cross, you'll notice that the 6th station is Simon of Cyrene helps Jesus to carry his cross. And anytime I am faced with anything in my life that seems overwhelming, I remember that station. And I'm reminded that I'm not carrying my cross alone. That Jesus is carrying it with me. And that He sends other people into our lives who help us to pick up our cross and to pick us up and dust us off and to help us to keep moving forward. In our relationship with Jesus Christ, we need to remember to calculate our relationships, to surround ourselves with people who support us and encourage us to be faithful disciples of Jesus Christ. I am overwhelmed at how many times in our own parish where we step up to the plate and we constantly are able to minister to those who are in need. Colleen Lum died, and when she was in the worst of her treatments for her ovarian cancer, how many people came forward and brought meals to her house? Jay and Colleen were overwhelmed by our generosity, that she could no longer cook during those times of terrible treatment when she got incredibly sick. And people made sure that her two children, she and her husband, the four of them, were able to eat, to make sure that they were taken care of in that time of need. Surrounding ourselves with people who walk with us and work with us is calculating our relationships, calculating who we are with and for one another, and having that willingness to say, not only am I going to throw money at a program or resources that we have in our parish, but I'm going to step up to the plate and I'm going to use my energy and my time to make sure that people get fed at the mustard seed. Or that I'm going to cook and I'm going to serve meals at Trinity Church in Milford to make sure that those who are in need are fed and taken care of. That I'm going to go through my closets and any excess clothes that I have that I don't need, I'm going to make sure that they get to the thrift shop so that people who are in need are clothed. It's calculating how important we are to one another, and that we're not on this journey alone, and good luck, keep warm and well fed, but that we're actually walking together as people of faith. Jesus talks about being a good calculator. I think the episodes that I've seen of Big Bang Theory shows that Sheldon is a good calculator. He knows where he wants to go and what he's doing. And Jesus is asking us to do the same. To take a look, to take stock at our lives, and to make sure that it's in communion, common union with Him and one another. Amen.